Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started, respecting people's schedules, and others can join us as they catch on. Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jim Danhauser. I'm a volunteer with SCORE of the Cape Cod and Islands chapter. I wanted to cover just a couple of quick introductory things before turning things over to our facilitator for today, Ed Sherman. You see listed on this slide the organizations that provide assistance to us in presenting this webinar. We're supported by the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce and the various chambers of commerce located on the Cape and Islands, as well as by the Community Development Partnership located in Eastham. As always, we're very grateful to these organizations for their ongoing support of our educational efforts. For those of you who are not familiar with SCORE, we're a fully volunteer nonprofit organization and a resource partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration. SCORE's mission is to foster vibrant small business communities through mentoring and education. We've been doing this work since our founding some 60 years ago, through educational opportunities like this webinar, and by providing mentoring to people who are in business or who are thinking about starting a business. We benefit from having over 50 volunteer mentors and subject matter experts here in our chapter on Cape Cod and the islands. People have a broad array of different business experience and expertise, and all of whom stand ready to provide business assistance to you. And the same holds true for all of the other chapters in our Massachusetts, Rhode Island district. We can connect you as well with SCORE volunteers throughout the country, so we can make sure that we can match you with someone who has the right experience to be of help to you. So if you're interested in pursuing this mentoring help, all of which is completely free and absolutely confidential, there are a couple of ways to proceed. You can go to the SCORE national website at www.score.org, click on the Request a Mentor tab in the drop-down menu under Find a Mentor, enter your zip code, and get going. Or you can do the same by going to the website of your local chapter that covers your geographic area, and those websites are listed here. Finally, last preliminary, today's procedures. All people other than myself and Ed have been muted. I'd ask that you put any questions that you have into the Q&A feature that you should see at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to try to keep track of questions as they come in and pose them to Ed as they do. And it's just easier for me to do that if I don't have to toggle back and forth between various features. In addition, the webinar is being recorded. As is our custom, we will send a link to that recording to everybody who registered for today's program once it's available, which should take place in the next day or two. Our facilitator for today's program is Ed Sherman. Ed's an experienced retailer, having built and operated a chain of 7 successful card and gift shops during his career. He has taught a number of courses in retailing at colleges in Oklahoma, serves on the advisory board of the Gift Association of America, and on the boards of several merchant and civic organizations. So you'll be hearing today from someone who has succeeded in the retail trenches that you live in every day. So with that, Ed, take it away.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the kind comments, and certainly glad to be here. We're going to cover a wide range of topics, and hopefully that even the most experienced of you will be able to glean at least one or two things out of my comments. For those of you who have been in retailing only a short time, and certainly those that have been any length of time, know that you will be exposed to and need to become experienced in doing a wide range of jobs and functions.
Ed, don't forget to share your screen with your presentation.
Okay, I haven't. Okay, thank you. I will do that right now. Excuse me. Okay. Many of these functions you probably never thought you would get to do. I remember after I had been in business a very short time, actually I had my first store I had purchased as an existing store.
We're still not seeing your screen, Ed.
I'd only been there. Oh, I got to share. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Do you see it now?
We do.
Okay, very good. Okay. So some of the things that I'm sure that you do now or have done in the past, will do in the future, are things that you never thought you'd be doing, but lo and behold, you have to. I hadn't been in business very long. I bought an existing store. A couple months into it, I get a phone call. This person calls and asks to talk to the head stock boy. And I hesitated for a moment. I said, well, that's me. And he then asked for the head janitor, the head maintenance guy. By this time, I had recognized the voice, and I said, well, that's me too. He said, well, the person I really need to talk to is the owner. And I said, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. That's me also. So, yes, you end up doing lots of different kinds of things. If you're new in this business or thinking about getting into it, you need to learn and think about yourself. What do you like doing? What do you like not doing? What are those things you might have to do that really won't do? You need to analyze that and make a list, make what I call a T account. And on one side are the things that you like to do or want to do, and those things you don't want to do or don't ever or will never do. What are your capabilities? What am I comfortable doing? Do I think I will be comfortable selling? And of those things that I don't want to do or won't do, are these things that I can hire done. That is, either hire a person on my staff or hire a contractor, hire it out. And if I can do that, can I afford to do that? Part of the budgeting process. Also, given that list, what are the things that I need to learn? What are the things I might be willing to learn so that I can do that? And the important part, I believe, here is to make a list. Take a look at the things that you really want to do or can't do. You'll need to know your market. That is, what am I going to do? Who am I going to sell to? What kind of merchandise do I want to sell? About 2 years after I bought my first store, I was going to open a second store from scratch. Empty location. I had to go in and remodel the facility. And the important thing here that I want to talk about is what type of merchandise. My first store was in a high income, high education community to almost, see, it was the second highest income, second highest education in the state as far as cities went. Using that as a basis, I chose the merchandise to put into this new store. And I thought that this is a working class store. It was an hour and a half away from my existing store. And so that I thought I needed to come down a notch in price points. Lo and behold, was I wrong. The highest priced merchandise in the store just flew off the shelf that holiday season. We opened the store in the first week of October and very quickly found out that our more expensive merchandise was selling out. And so we had to scramble a little bit to get the better merchandise into our store because that's what our customers were looking for. And so you need to consider what kind of price points do you want in your store. Part of that is going to be what's the proximity to your customer? What are the demographics of your customers? How far away are they going to come? Very often when you look at demographics, when developers look at shopping centers, they will create analyses of a 1 mile, 3 mile, and 5 mile radius so that they can take a look at where the customer is going to be coming from. That will hopefully help you determine what kind of merchandise and price points. You also need to learn who your competition is. Who is it? Where is it? And you need to go shop it. Yeah, you need to go into those stores. You need to shop those stores and you need to find out what kind of product are they carrying, what are their price points, where are their stores positioned in the marketplace, what are their price points, who are their customers, where are their customers coming from, and of course you say, well, how do I do that? Very simple. If you're new in the marketplace, you could probably go do that yourself until you become known as to what business you own. But if you can't do it yourself, you need to have somebody go do that for you. That is, let them go find out this information. It might not be as good as if you did it personally, but yet it is better than what you had before you started. And you're going to have to heavily coach that person on what to be looking for. And you might use more than one person to go in and do that for you. It could be a friend, a relative, a future employee, could be whoever. And I would also say, in order to get ideas, go to another town, go to another city, could go into Boston or go into some other city in the area, go to a large shopping mall and take a look at what other stores are doing, what kind of merchandise are they carrying. And when you're shopping those stores, you're not, let's say it's, pick an item that I'm familiar with, let's say candles. What company are they carrying? Not only type of product, candles, but who are the suppliers? Maybe you don't want to carry the same company. You want to carry a different company of comparable quality. And you might make that determination that way. Also, knowing your market is you think your customers will be male or female. In retail, to a large extent, your customer is going to be female with some notable exceptions. Sporting goods, for instance, might be more of a balance or more male oriented. Is your customer, you think, going to be young or old? A lot of this depends upon the proximity to your market. Where are they going to come from? Also, while you're at those stores, consider the size of the store relative to the size of the store that you're going to do. And that will help you determine the size of displays of certain product categories. Also, the look of the store. Does this seem to be a high-end store? Is it putting itself as being a prestigious store? Or is this going to be appeal to the average person instead of the person who's looking to spend money on a higher priced item? Excuse me. While you're at the store, you're doing that uh, uh, shopping of the stores. Be prepared to take some notes. Uh, do it on your phone, pencil and paper if you have to, and just be a little discreet so that you don't create any attention. And if it is creating a problem, don't take those notes. Just try to remember what you can. You need to create an inviting store environment. Layout, the physical placement of your store fixtures. There are lots of help with that. You can use existing layouts that you see as an example, existing layouts in other stores, but also fixture suppliers are generally very helpful in helping you lay out a new store. You need to consider the visual merchandising. Just think of that concept. Visual merchandising is how are you going to display product in your stores? What's it going to look like? Obviously, you can't put your stuff on the floor, put your merchandise on the floor. You need to put it in a merchandise in a manner that is easy for your customer to shop. And when you're doing layout, there is a right-left concept. That is, the world, I'm sorry, lefties, but the world is a right-handed world. When people go into stores, they tend to move to their right. And we need to play off that. We need to make our displays to the right attractive and engaging, particularly seasonal merchandise. So seasonal merchandise is either going to be directly in front of the customer if they walk in the door, or preferably to the right, so that you're highlighting your seasonal merchandise. When you're laying out that store, strange noise. Well, you need to be aware of ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act requirements, and any local requirements that your local jurisdiction has overlaid on that. Basically, it's how easy is it to get around. You could somewhat avoid the specifics of the legislation as to how many inches from this and how many inches from that. If you just take a walker or a wheelchair and go around the store to see whether or not that walker and wheelchair are easy to get around. That's really the key. How easy is it for a person who using a mobility aid? How easy is it for them to get around? Your displays need to be easy to shop, and they need to tell a story. What's the story? The story could be color. It could be a season. It could be a type of product. There needs to be a star in that display, whether it's a display on an aisle, the end of aisle, or particularly in the window. In the window, it needs to be somewhat eye-catching. You need to try to stop that person who's just walking by, the window shopper. But again, there needs to be a star, and all displays need to be kept fresh. Customers don't like to walk from shop-worn displays. As merchandise sells off that display, you might have to rearrange it so that it looks like it's new, it's different, or even to restock that display if you have backstock or understock. Also, when a customer comes into the store, they need to know what season it is. Don't do your layout and your displays in such a way that the customer is halfway to the back of the store before they realize that it's Mother's Day coming up or graduation season. So that those displays need to be towards the front of the store so they see them as soon as they walk in. And you need to make a seasonal statement with merchandise, with store decor. Now, the whole store doesn't have to be decorated, but maybe around the display of that seasonal merchandise, you'll have some seasonal decor. One way is dress. That is, what are your sales associates wearing? Obviously, at Christmas time, they can wear a stocking cap, or maybe it's just a seasonal lapel pin that might state the season. Around St. Patrick's Day, they might be wearing a green hat pin or a shamrock, something that helps set the tone, makes the season, and also will make it appear to the customer that this sales associate is more approachable. Also, music. You should have music in your store for seasons and for every day. Just make sure that the music is appropriate for your kind of store and for your customers. One of the you don't want to have in your store heavy metal being played if that's not your customer who appreciates heavy metal music. It's probably the best way to turn somebody around when all of a sudden there's loud music that they can't stand playing. We all know that customer service is important. That's almost a given. But at what level? There are lots of stores who give customer service. But I would tell you that I think customer service starts with selection of staff. I saw an article, not an article, it was an ad from Trader Joe's. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Trader Joe's, but it is a great shopping experience. Their ad that I saw, I believe it might have been LinkedIn, but I'm not sure. It said that they were looking for happy, smiling people. They were looking for sales associates who like to be with people, and that they said at the very end that we will do the training. You do not need prior experience. You don't need prior training. We want smiling, helpful staff. We want staff who will approach customers. I'm sure you've all had the experience. You've been at a store and the sales associate comes up and says, "May I help you?" Well, we all know what that answer is. "No, I'm just looking." Well, now you are now shut out of approaching that customer again because they've told you essentially, "Leave me alone. All I want to do is look around." So that is not the right approach. The approach is a merchandise approach. You approach them and talk with them like this is a friend. This is somebody that you're walking around with and looking at product. You approach them talking about the merchandise. A line might be, "Oh, that's one of our new ones," or "That's a new color," or don't ask them a question in which the answer can be no. Because all of a sudden, if that's the case, you're done. I've had the experience a number of times when I will walk in the store and I will see a customer who's just kind of browsing around, and I will approach them with this merchandise approach, and I end up making a sale. And afterward, the sales associate comes up to me and she said, "How did you do that? That person told me they were just looking." I said, "Yeah, because what did you ask them?" She said, "Well, I asked if I could help her." And she said, "No." I said, "Well, I didn't ask her that question. I talked to her about the merchandise that she was looking at, or the merchandise she had in her hand. And lo and behold, I made a sale." So that you need to talk about the merchandise. You need to approach them about the merchandise. Also, you need to be personal about it. If you know the person is a regular customer, you need to say something like, "Oh, I'm glad you're back, Mrs. Smith," if you know their name. If you don't, say you can say something else that recognizes that you acknowledge that they've been in the store before. "Oh, welcome back. Glad to see you back. Thank you for coming in again." It's that kind of thing. Again, I haven't asked the question of "May I help you?" I haven't asked them a question in which they can say no and cut me off. There are times when you approach a customer, they may give you a negative comment. And sometimes you'll get that negative comment on some social media. Well, it's time to eat crow. It's time to say you're sorry. And try to find out if some way that negativity could be corrected. And well, how can we make it right? What can I do that would make you happy? And see what they may come up with. Take the high road. This is an opportunity for you to save a customer and get a customer to come back. There is a grocery chain, been around for many years now, family operated, called Leonard's Dairy Store. Stu Leonard founded this. I think he passed away not too long ago, but his family continues to run it. And they had outside their store an engraved rock, and it said something about levels of customer service in the store. and it said, number one, the customer is always right. Number two, if you don't understand, go back and read number one. So that in practicality, is the customer really always right? Well, probably not, but you need to find a way to make it right, make them happy so that they will come back and so that they will not say negative things about your store. I have been told by survey experts that people will talk negatively and tell their negative story something like 10 or 11 times. That is 10 or 11 other people. Whereas positive stories, they repeat 3 or 4 times. So obviously, you want to try to avoid the negativity and try to correct it as best you can. Today, we need to recognize that technology is important. You need to, back to the know yourself. You need to understand what is your level of knowledge of the technical aspects, the technology. The most important technology today in retailing is probably some type of a POS system, point of sale. In my early days in retailing, we had cash registers. First, it was a one total register, and then eventually it was I think a 22 department register. Well, today there are POS systems that cost less than my 22 department register, give you more detail, and they will give you item detail. So these are kinds of systems that you should be using. Today, they're not particularly expensive, and you can learn about them by reading trade journals, a trade journal within your category of retailing. There'll be ads, and I'm sure that after a while you'll start getting some direct mail or even US mail promoting POS systems. The suppliers of those systems are very happy to explain them to you and will help you set them up. And don't buy the first one you see. There are many around, and that you need to find one that works best for you. In inventory management is where this POS system comes in, so that you can track your systems, that you'll know what's selling or what's not selling. Inventory management and customer service, that is direct contact with customers, are going to be two of your most important jobs that you need to do. It'll assist you to track merchandise productivity. There is a concept that if a product is taking up a certain amount of square feet, you can now calculate, with the help of a POS system, calculate your sales per square foot for that product line, comparing it with other product lines in your store as to which ones are more productive and which ones you should maybe reduce in size, expand in size, or maybe even not carry at all. So that you need to take a look at that. You can also get some help in doing this through continuing education courses. The local community college, local high school might have adult education courses in which you can learn about some of this technology. Also, there are workshop seminars, and certainly the vendors of the equipment have loads of information. Just need to be careful you don't get overburdened and get confused by all the stuff. You do need to be able to track your inventory in an effective way. One of the types of people you're going to come in contact with are salespeople, vendors. Some may call on you, some you may have to go visit with them. But the important thing is that you need a budget. You need a guideline on how much you're going to spend. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a cash bind or a problem with accounts payable. That is, you're not able to pay your vendors, pay merchandise you've already received. Open to buy is just a retail method, a retail concept of a budget. And open to buy says, how much merchandise could I buy? What's my budget? You're going to get a lot of that information from your point of sale information. That's going to help you know what's selling, what's not selling, and how much you should buy. And by the way, from the POS, believe the numbers. Sometimes you think something is not selling, and lo and behold, it is, and that should now work into your open to buy. You need to be prepared for the working with the vendors. That is, prior to that person coming in, review your budget, review that open to buy, and review the product sales. Not only looking at your reports off the POS system, but also physically going to the display, to the counter, and determine what's selling and what's not selling. Don't be intimidated. Salespeople are calling on you, make their living by selling you product. If you don't buy, they don't get a commission. Most of these salespeople are on commission and they need to sell to you. And many times they'll be heavy-handed. Stand by your guns. Stand by what you feel you need to do for your store. You know your store better than anybody, and you need to stand by that. And you might have some plans, things that you want to do for the holiday season, for a season, any time of year. Don't tell your vendors. If you have a particular display where you're going to really emphasize a product line and you're going to buy to that product line, don't tell your vendor. Don't tell your salesperson. Don't forget, when they get done with you, they're now going to go call on potentially one of your competitors. And they love to talk. And there you tell them things that you're going to do. They're liable to tell a competitor, and now a competitor is forewarned and forearmed as to what's going to happen. You know what's right for your store better than anybody else. And before those vendors come in, also talk to your own salespeople and ask them, what do you think I should do? What about this product line? What about that? So that they can also help you. The accounting. You don't need to be an accountant. Yes, I have an accounting degree, and I found that to be very helpful to me through the years. But you don't need to be an accountant. You need to understand a few things. You need to understand that, for instance, that it is possible for you to be profitable. You could be very profitable. And you can see that on the income statement, that you're making a lot of money, but you don't have anything in the bank. You don't have any cash. You need to understand how that can be happening. How can I be making a lot of money? Don't have any cash. It's very simple. And if you take a close look at your balance sheet, you might find out that you have a lot more inventory today than you did a year ago. And that's where the cash has gone. You've spent that cash, you've bought inventory, and that may very well be one of the reasons why you're doing so well and that sales are up. But you need to take a look at that and understand why that's happening. And I realized that there were many of my colleagues, when I would get together for a conference, that they didn't understand that concept, and that you need to understand that concept. The other thing you need to understand with accounting is why you can have expenses, things that are on your income statement and show the cost that you incurred, but yet it did not require any cash. These are non-cash items, particularly depreciation. You need to understand that concept so that it will help you in understanding your financial statements. And budgeting. Budgeting is vital. You need to make one, and you need to stay on it, and you need to make conscious changes. Don't let you get out of budget and not realize it. Yeah, there are times when you might do a little bit more or a little bit less than what the budget calls for. But it's all right as long as you know you're doing that. And you need to make those conscious changes. Don't just let it happen. If you don't know how to prepare a budget, get help from your accountant. And I hope that you're using an outside accountant. Most of us are not qualified to do the accounting. A system like QuickBooks makes it easier today, but you should still probably be using an outside accountant, and they're generally happy to help you with budgeting. And also, many of the systems that you may use, like QuickBooks, provide a feature in assisting you to do that accounting, and you should use that. If you'll just spam works around the country, isn't that amazing? When I was talking about don't be intimidated, don't say to a salesperson, let's say you run this with a partner, could be your spouse, could be somebody else. Don't say, oh, well, I need to go check with Janie before I can do this. Don't do that, because now you're giving away your power. You're giving away your authority. Don't do that. If, in fact, you want to check with your partner, all you need to say is, well, I don't know if I want to do that now. I think I'll wait to make that decision. I'm just not prepared to do that today, when in fact, you really want to check with your partner. Because if you say, well, I want to check with my partner, that salesperson now is not going to go to you. They're going to go to your partner. Don't give away your authority. Hold fast onto that authority so that person will continue to deal with you. You need to become involved in the community, and that's not just the business community. You need a marketing plan. How am I going to spend my money on advertising and promotions? What kind of advertising? What kind of promotions? And you need to work with other businesses. You need to work with them to do community, do good in the community, but also to do group advertising and group promotion. I encourage you, the group promotion might be common sales, joint sales days, seasonal events, community decorations. And you need to buy for those events. That is, if you know you're going to have a big sales day this summer, you should buy product that you could put, that maybe you got a good buy on it, or something you don't normally carry, and maybe something you can get an extra markup, so that if you could then for the sale mark it down and still make a profit. You should do that. It's looking forward to those events and buying for them. I encourage you to be discreet with proprietary information. You have no obligation to tell a competitor, oh, hey, we did 20% better last week or last month than we did the month before. Don't give that away. There's no reason why you have to. You have no obligation to do that. One holiday season actually was the Friday after Thanksgiving. I got a panic call from one of my managers. Lisa calls, and she says, oh, TV station just called. This is a local network affiliate. Wants to do a story about the holiday season, and they want to interview me. What do I do? What do I say? And she was really in a tizzy. I said, oh, slow down. Take it easy. This is relatively simple. First of all, you want to look your best. Make sure your clothes are clean, smile, look bright and cheerful, be upbeat, talk in short sentences, and don't tell them anything specific about numbers. Well, we got off the phone, she was a little more calm, still a little nervous. But when she got interviewed, I thought she gave them a great line. When they asked them about the Christmas season and how it was going and about that day, she said, "We are looking for a record day." I thought that was fantastic. Short sentence, didn't give anything away. She was happy with it. It came off great. One of the things you might consider are customer loyalty plans. That is, come in more frequently, get a free gift, or even a comeback. So you can give them a coupon to come back another time for a 10% discount, or for a free gift, or something of that sort. Give them cause to come back, and also consider both email and websites. For an email, one of your promos during maybe a sale season, that is a sale day, could be registered for your email. I'll have a raffle in which you are asking for their email address. Now, the caveat here is you have to make it obvious to the customer that you do not sell your email addresses. Nobody else will be using them, and that you will not bombard their mailbox. So now you can send out an email to your customers as to a new product line, a new company, or even a new whatever you want to promote. And you might do this maybe once a week and see and get some people in. You do not need to get a huge response for it to significantly impact your sales. Website is more difficult. It's more difficult because if you're going to put product on it, you need to make sure that it is up to date. You need to maintain it well. But I am suggesting to you that the internet and your website becomes the new phone book. This is where people go to find addresses and phone numbers of stores, so that at a minimum, you could have a website that would have your name, address, phone number, your hours, change it for seasonal hours, but not necessarily for any product. You want to make it easy for people to find who you are and where you are. A website, a basic website that does that, it should not be very expensive to get that done initially. The expense and the problems with the website come in when you don't update it because it has season-specific or merchandise-specific items. As time goes on, you need to be flexible and adaptable. One thing I can guarantee you today, that change is coming. I was slow in going from the 22 department mechanical cash register to going to a POS system. You need to do that. We maintain a rather hand-posted, hand-prepared inventory system, and it was very cumbersome and very difficult to keep it up to date because it took a lot of labor in our stores. That's something that you don't want to do, so that and this change is to watch for new merchandise. You can get that information from your salespeople, your vendors, and also by reading trade journals. I suspect that every one of you in your industry has a trade journal that you can read. You can go through for both articles and also advertise for merchandise and equipment that will help in your store. And this is a way to keep on learning. And also maybe to change layouts a little bit. I realize that it's not easy to move these big fixtures around, but some of them are convertible. They could be changed to a different look, and you might be able to get some of that information also from your vendors and from the various trade journals. Don't be set in stone that you're unwilling to do something, so that you can hopefully put forth a different look to customers. Also, another way is to go to a trade show. I hope that in each one of your industries, there is a trade show you could go to. Maybe it's Boston, maybe it's New York, but there are many trade shows. They're usually on an annual basis, and go to those trade shows and see what's happening. Take a look at new merchandise, talk to vendors who you might not normally come in contact with, and go with lots of questions. When you go, make sure that you have prepared. You might have some vendors that you want to go look at, and you want to go talk with them, and you'll find out about them again by reading the trade journals. Also, while you're in those other cities, go to some other stores. Go to stores that are in your industry that you've never been to. You might be surprised at what you find, and that also talk to talk to talk to those vendors, talk to those salespeople. They have lots of information, and they are generally more than willing to share that with you. And I am now down to any questions. Jim, you've been awfully quiet there. Anything in chat?
We have not seen anything come in yet. A couple of people have raised their hands, but apparently that was by mistake. So folks, now is your chance. If you have any questions that you want to pose to Ed, we'd be happy to answer them. You can put them either into the Q&A or the chat. I know that there was a lot of information that everybody got. And you may have some follow-up questions. If you do, you can send them to me. You'll be getting an email from me later today or tomorrow, which will have my email address. You can send the questions to me and I will get them to Ed, and we can respond to you after the fact. But now you have an opportunity. If you have any questions at all about anything relating to retail, the material that Ed's talked about, or otherwise, fire away. Let's say, Ed, I had a question for you.
Okay.
You mentioned dealing with negative reviews. It seems like a lot of reviews that people get are not necessarily reviews by actual customers, but are reviews by competitors or by bots. How deeply do you suggest that people get into the weeds of trying to deal with Yelp comments and other things like that?
Well, obviously you need to be real careful, particularly if they're imposters or bots or competitors. I would be one of my favorite terms was, what can I do to correct the problem? Yeah, it's kind of throwing it back on them, but I think it's a fair question. Give me some idea. What do I need to do? Also, you might not want to do this on the social media, but I have face-to-face or person-to-person on the phone. I've suggested to customers after the third or fourth incident that we've had with that customer, I have actually suggested that maybe they ought to be shopping someplace else. If all they're going to do is complain, there's nothing I can do to help them.
And a lot of marketing now seems to be done not just by email, but by text messages. Do you suggest any means of gathering cell phone numbers from customers to try to do that? Or is that probably a step too far?
Yeah, I have never done that. I think that's a bit cumbersome because now you're asked, don't forget, I was running 7 stores. I had 75 approximately, 75 employees. Well, there's no way that I can arm them with all these phone numbers as to who the problem customers might be. I remember before we had the approval system that we have today for credit cards, when somebody would give us a credit card, we had a book that we had to go through.
I remember those
You
books.
remember those?
Yeah.
Well, is that going to be the same thing as the person who's monitoring our social media? Is they're going to have to check this list that we generate for all these phone numbers? Obviously, that's not very practical. I've never really addressed that issue. Now, one of the things that we did do is we had a program where periodically we would send out a letter to a customer, and that letter went to customers who made a refund. And we might do it once a month if we thought we had a problem, a little more frequently, and we might go at a certain price level. That is, if it was a $10 return or a $20 return, and it was couched in the attitude of customer service. What it basically said was, hey, we appreciate you coming in. We appreciate your shopping in our store. And we noticed that recently you made a return in our store. And we realized that sometimes returns become a difficult experience. And we would like for you to tell us, how was your experience? And we had a postpaid postcard, and it was addressed to me, not to the store. Me personally, it already had a stamp on it, and it gave them a few lines to write in what they wanted. And there was a checklist of, I think, 4 items to check off. And we asked them to send that back to us. It was included with the letter. Amazingly, our return rate was close to 30%. Extremely high for those kinds of things. Usually response cards are in the 1 to 3% range. So we were absolutely amazed that we get that kind of response. So we got our customer service, but more importantly, as we found out, it also ended up being a security issue, in that we had a number of people who would come. I say number. We had some responses that said, "I haven't been in your store in 6 months," or "I never made that return." So lo and behold, we now have a security problem with our own staff. And in 2 cases, we found that employees were falsifying returns and they were pocketing the money. So we got customer service responses, and we got some security lapse problems. And we also got some good comments. One customer responded and told us that the young lady that helped them gave him excellent service. He was glad that she helped, and his wife was very pleased with the gift. Thank you. I'll be back. So that worked out very well for us over, and this is not just a short time thing. We did this periodically for a number of years.
Would you suggest people try that now by email?
They could. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the reasons why we got the response was twofold. One is it didn't just go to the store, it came to me. And my name was on the storefront, so they knew that I was an owner. The second is it didn't cost them anything. They didn't have to pay postage. So in the case of an email, they wouldn't have to pay postage. But if it went to the owner's email address, and I would suggest that it not be a regular email address.
Okay, well, we're not seeing any of the questions.
Okay.
Ed, thank you very much. Again, folks, I will be sending you the link to the recording in the next day or two, and feel free to follow up with any questions directed to me, and I will get them to Ed for him to answer for you.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If you get anything afterward, just you know my email address. Let me know.
Okay, that's great. Again, thanks, Ed, and thanks everybody for attending. Talk to you
Hey.
next time.
Thank you. Bye now.